Because he went to the Pro Bowl last year. That's how you go to the Pro Bowl. You make plays like that, big-time penetration, and throw people for losses.
And on third down, a nickel formation here defensively. From the shotgun, Wilson. And the Cowboys pressure gets there this time for the sack. Taco Charlton in there to drop him for a 6-yard loss, and that'll lead to a 4th down. And they weren't in zone coverage. They were in man, and each man did his job.
And that looked like vintage, old-school coverage, didn't it? Man coverage reminded me of an old Raiders team. They had a Hall of Famer at one corner and a Defensive Player of the Year at the other, and they just locked people down.
On 4th down, ready to punt, Michael Dixon. Back to receive it, Deontay Thompson. And now some pointing up front and a flag down. This might just move them back 5.
False start, offense.
Not a great start to this drive. You had the sack, now the false start.
I mean, it doesn't take much to either read lips or just imagine what the head coach is saying right now. Get your head in the game, guys. Let's go.
He steps into this one, and this is a rocket. And he couldn't get it to check up. That kicks all the way into the end zone for a touchback. And out now come the Cowboys. The crowd may be losing just a little bit of the edge after back-to-back punts.
They want some big plays. They want to see some offense. They want to see somebody break away, whether it's through the air or on the ground. Now it'll be interesting to see where the patience is on both sides. Each head coach, can you hang in there and not try and force something that can put your team in some jeopardy?
They start on the ground with Elliott. And he'll get only a couple up to the 22. The numbers for Zeke from last week. 21 carries for an even 100 yards.
Well, this is where it becomes a challenge for the offensive coordinator. He's got a bell cow at tailback right now. Number 3 in the league in rushing, within shouting distance of the lead. But at the same time, if the passing game is open, he's got to take advantage of that too.
Again, it's Elliott. And he's got some space here. And he's going to get this one across the 30-yard line. It's a 10-yard pickup, and it moves the chains. Relatively small sample size, but that's his longest run of the first quarter. Bounced it out to the outside to make it successful.
And to get there, you actually need some help. It's not just your pure speed getting to the corner, making sure that the blocking is taken care of inside so the pursuit doesn't get you. And oftentimes, those wide receivers, tight ends that might be flexed out, they've got to control the edge and make sure no one from the outside can spill the play before he gets there.
A first down carry by Elliott. And he's going to be met at the line of scrimmage and taken down. No gain on the play. It'll be second down.
All runners count on their eyes to find the gaps and creases, to find open space. There was absolutely none on that one. Totally swallowed up on that play.
On second down, here's Smith. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair. It'll wind up being a loss of 2. And that's going to lead to a 3rd and 12. Prescott from the gun. And incomplete on the deep ball.
You hear the calls for a penalty, but I just don't think so. I think in this situation, the defender was making sure his guy couldn't hold on to the football. So I don't see anything that warranted a flag.
No, I'm with you. There was contact, but I'm happy they kept that flag in the back pocket. Now comes the Cowboys punter as he'll kick it away for the second time. calls for the fair catch, makes the fair catch just inside the 15-yard line. 51 yards on the punt there. And it'll be Seahawk football, 1st and 10. Wilson and the Seahawks take over now, 1st and 10 at their own 14-yard line. They'll run with McKissick. And a very short pickup there across the 15 to the 16. So not much to speak of scoring-wise in this first quarter of play. 0-0 our score. We'll be back to Seattle right after this.
Oh, yeah!
The NFL on EA Sports is fueled by Gatorade, the sports fuel company.
Alongside my broadcast partner Charles Davis, Brandon Gaudin hits the Seahawks with a football to begin quarter number 2. They've got a 2nd down and 8 to start things out. They'll go again with McKissick. And that one blown up quickly as he's going to be stopped before he could even get started. They'll wind up losing 3. And now it's 3rd down.
Some of these play calls, I think they're a little conservative, but you know me, because it's easy to sit up in this booth, right, and make all the calls and think I'm going to be correct. But I would like to see them open things up, because otherwise this defense is going to gang up on the run and shut them down.
And he's got a man open. That's Marshall. It's a gain of 20 and picking up the 1st.
I'm sorry, but it's almost unfair. Brandon Marshall can make so many plays, but even when you think he's covered,
he's not.
No, he's really not. He uncovers and makes a play on you and picks up good yardage in doing so.
They will run it. It's McKissick trying to bounce it outside, but he's only able to get it back to the line of scrimmage. Now we're going to get a timeout here as it looks like there's a Seahawk injured on the play. While the training staff takes a peek, we'll take a break. They keep it on the ground. This time it's Penny. And this time he's going backwards. So after the no gain on the last attempt, here they get him behind the line. He came out ready to play. That's 3 tackles for a loss, Charles. We're only in the 2nd quarter.
And that's problematic for the guys trying to run offense, because that means he's got a pretty good idea of what they're doing and is actually beating them to the point of attack and making those plays. Might have to think about some misdirection or something to try and get him away from the ball.
Third and long. It's Wilson. Oh, he may have gotten lucky. Tried to dump it off underneath on the check down. Nearly picked. Instead, it's incomplete.
Didn't have a receiver open downfield, and as it turned out, couldn't even find his outlet man because of the coverage. It was way too tight. Unable to find anyone open.
This is taken at about the 14. We'll call that a punt of 54 yards. Well struck. And the Cowboys will take over the football with a 1st and 10. So out come the Cowboys now as their offense gets set to take over. They've had it twice. They've punted twice. Not the start they were hoping for.
Not at all, and let's face it, every facility we visit, everyone talks about converting on 3rd down, how big that is. In this situation, they've had to punt it away twice, so they're furiously going over things on the sidelines. What do we need to do to pick up the 1st down and change our momentum?
And he is going to be stopped cold behind the line of scrimmage. Call it a loss of 2 on the play, and it'll be 2nd and 12. The give is to Elliott, and he is met in his tracks behind the line of scrimmage. So he loses 3 yards there. Now 3rd down.
But there's another example of why they haven't scored any points so far. I think it's time to abandon the run game, spread things out, and go to the air. It certainly can't be any worse than what they've done so far.
3rd and long for Prescott. Into heavy traffic, and it's intercepted. Picked off at the 16. And good field position coming up here. The football at the 12-yard line. And we remind you, coming up at the half, we'll join who, Charles?
The coach.
The coach, Jonathan Coachman, standing by in Orlando. He'll have stats and scores from games in progress, as well as scores from earlier today.
The coach.
Sorry, we get slap happy up here sometimes. After the interception, here's Wilson. And he's got it. Caught in the end zone for the Seahawk touchdown. Tyler Lockett, his first touchdown of the new season. And the Seahawks are able to strike for 6. And it was a tight window. He knew he had to rocket that thing in there. He got it done.
And when you're able to complete one like that, your confidence has to just go sky high. You just mentioned it. Tight window, zings it in there despite excellent coverage. Result, touchdown.
Sebastian Janikowski on for the PAT. Janikowski adds the extra point, and that makes the score 7-0. Well, they got the ball in great field position. One play later, boom, end zone. Out to kick is Janikowski. This is fielded a couple yards deep. And he'll bring it a few past the 20 to the 23-yard line. Dak Prescott of the offense heading back onto the field. He's got to dig deep here, doesn't he? Team's losing. He's not playing well either.
And they always tell you, don't press. You'll make things a little bit worse. But in this particular situation, you try and heighten your play a little bit. So far, he's thrown 1 interception. He wants to balance that off with at least 1 touchdown pass in order to get his team back moving forward.
He hits Beasley right side. And he's able to get out to the 32, brought down there. Give him 9 there on the first down completion. Prescott now on second down. Now he's flushed out right. And he gets this one to midfield before he's brought down. Able to make something out of nothing there. 17 yards and a first down. Prescott now from the 50. Got a man over the middle. It's Williams. And this time he's able to take it down to the 42. Give him 9 there on the first down completion.
Well, if you do read man coverage, Brandon, the drag route's a pretty good one to run against it because you're running away from people on it.
That last catch short of the marker by just a yard leaves him with a very manageable 2nd and 1. Off play action to Elliott. Here's Prescott. Got his man complete over the middle. That's Williams. The Cowboys going to use their 2nd timeout now, as the stoppage will come with a little under a minute to go in this first half. Prescott now, after the pick on the last drive, 3 for 3 to start this drive. It's 1st and 10. A first down throw for Prescott. And he's going to go down here, a sack. They push him back to the 34. Frank Clark in there to drop him, and it'll be a loss of about 8.
They just gave up a sack there, and if I'm not mistaken, they gave up 4 last week, didn't they?
Yes. And just looking really porous, aren't they?
They really are, and I'm wondering if they're going to have to start thinking about keeping the tight end in, maybe a back, someone to help assist, because right now, the quarterback's been getting hit a lot in the last couple of games.
So second and long, and got to be careful not to fall out of field goal range. Second down, Prescott. And this one caught by Beasley. 8 yards on the completion, but now they face third down. Well, this is how you shake the thoughts of that interception on the last drive. You come out and start this one 4 for 4.
And watching him throw it around with that type of confidence reminds me of a guy I played with way back when who told me, I don't care if I throw 10 interceptions in a row. I'm going to stay confident, keep flinging it. I'll just figure there's something wrong with the football.
The Cowboys on third down. 0 for 3 to this point. They could use a conversion. This is 3rd and 10. From the shotgun, it's Prescott. And this is going to be incomplete.
Sometimes the coverage is so good, no matter what you're doing on offense, you just can't shake anyone free. They try their best to find someone open, but they took away every passing alley, every angle, and shut the play down.
And Bailey able to knock it through. And they are on the board, but still trailing. It's 7 to 3. So the 3 points here, they're still down, but they put somewhat of a dent into that lead going into the break.
Anything helps when you're trying to chip away at a lead, but they do know that they're going to need a little bit better effort in the second half.
The kick team out there for the Cowboys as they run up to send this one away. This fielded a few yards into the end zone. And all that work, but he stopped where he ultimately would have been, and he's simply taken a knee, and that's the 25-yard line. They'll start on the ground. It's Rashad Penny. And he's going to lose yardage and be backed up to the 25. That's going to go as a loss of a yard, and it'll be second down. So we've reached halftime here in a 4-point game as we send you cross-country to Orlando. Jonathan Coachman is there and has our EA Sports halftime report.
All right, Brandon, thanks. And welcome in everybody to our EA Sports halftime report. Time for a look around the NFL here in Week 3 of the new year. We'll start with the big one in Southern California. The first time in a couple decades that 2 LA teams are squaring off with one another. And it's the Rams who have the lead in the second quarter. Todd Gurley accounting for the lone scoring thus far as he's cashed in with a touchdown run. From there, we head east to Cleveland to check on the Browns at home at First Energy Stadium. And they were winners in their ball game as they were able to handle the visiting New York Jets. Tyrod Taylor, 2 touchdown passes as his guys remain unbeaten. Finally, let's get to the desert. Check on the Cardinals at home in Glendale. And they've got the lead over the visiting Chicago Bears. David Johnson, the lone touchdown there as he's cashed one in on the ground. Meanwhile, in our game, not a lot of offense to go around. 7-3 is our score. Will we see things open up in the second half? To find out, we get it back to our guys in the booth, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
All right, Coach, thank you, and we welcome everyone back for quarter number 3. That'll be taken in the end zone. And he won't return this one. He'll go down to a knee, and they'll start at the 25. The Seahawks offense now, they get set to go back to work. They have the lead. Now they'll be looking for some separation here as we begin the third quarter.
I like the way you term that because now I think they go a little bit deeper into their playbook. They like what they did in the first half. That worked okay. But in order to get the separation that you just talked about, change things up a little bit. Change your tendencies, try and hit them a little bit more, with some things they didn't see in the first half.
We'll see if they do just that. A solid run on first down. Gain of 7 leaves them with a 2nd and 3.
Well, no matter how they phrase it, staying on schedule, staying ahead of the sticks, whatever you want to call it, 7 yards on first down, that fits the bill.
They'll run it again with Penny. Oh, he's got a little daylight. And he's going to be taken down here with a penalty flag on the field.
Holding offense.
That one whistled against the big right tackle.
You'd think being able to fire out and block would be a lot easier to not commit a holding penalty, but it's tough to keep those guys right in front, isn't it?
After the penalty, it's Penny. And forget about finding a lane. He barely had time to look up before he was planted in the backfield. They'll lose a yard, and it brings up 3rd.
So statistically, both of these offenses having a rough time getting a running game going. But, boy, what a nice play there defensively.
Tackling him behind the line, but you're right. You look at the numbers. Neither side looks on track in the ground game. Wilson. He's got Lockett. Wilson to Lockett there for the Seahawk first down. The former Gamecock here. This is Mike Davis. And that play going absolutely nowhere as he's belted before he could get out of the backfield.
It's real easy to say this running game needs to be better, but the reality is they've been given little time to actually find a place to run the football. It's almost like the defense is there on the handoff.
Now Wilson on 2nd down. And his throw's going to be incomplete. The Notre Dame man, Jalen Smith, able to get a hand in and knock it away. A pretty good coverage there, and both of these defenses, they've had good coverage throughout this one.
No doubt about it, and in today's NFL, where we're used to...
The ball popped in the air and intercepted. Picked off by the linebacker, Sean Lee. And they take possession 2 yards away from midfield at the 48-yard line. First possession of the 3rd quarter, an interception, so maybe a second-half tone setter.
Indeed, and not the tone they wanted to set. That's the equivalent of running out the wrong door and running into your pool instead of running out onto the field. A real dud for that one.
Has that happened to you before?
No, but I've heard stories about teams actually doing that back in the good old days.
The Cowboys offense now, they head out for their first possession of the second half. We have not seen much on offense from either side. These last few drives, it has been a struggle, hasn't it?
Totally, and you're thinking to yourself right now, if you're on offense trying to get things figured out, okay, we self-scout every week on our game plan. How many things do we do at certain times? What are our tendencies? Time to go to some of those tendency breakers and try and create some offense.
They always have those in their back pocket, don't they?
You have to, and if you don't keep abreast of what you're doing, you lock into a rhythm and make it easy for the opposition.
Looking for tendency breakers right now. And he's going to take this one down to about the 23-yard line. The tackle made by K.J. Wright.
Tough day, tough sledding right there, and it's been that way the entire game. Not a whole lot of room to ramble for him.
Yeah, you're right. It's been that way all afternoon. Didn't get a whole lot better there. 10th carry now for Elliott. And some room to maneuver. And on this one, he'll get to the 15, right at the 15-yard line. 8 yards on the pickup there, and it moves the sticks.
Boy, he does it at a high level, doesn't he? Because when I watch him, I think of his vision. Straight ahead, peripheral. Also has that sense of where holes are going to be before they actually open. I think that helps set him apart from many of the other bats in the league.
Took till the second half, but finally a red zone opportunity here. They've got a 1st and 10 at the 15. A give to Elliott. And he goes backwards here, losing yardage back to the 16. And now it looks like we've got a Cowboy shaken up down there on the field. Well, he gets attended to. We'll step aside. They'll run it now out of the gun. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair. That'll go as a loss of 5. And they're going to be staring at a 3rd and long here.
That goes down as a loss against his rushing stats. But really, should he have to absorb that one? He had no chance on that play before they overwhelmed him.
Pretty much on top of him before he could take his first step. So 2 plays with only negative yardage to show, and now it's 3rd and 16. Out of the gun, here's Prescott. And that is incomplete.
Well, this at least is the right idea. I think they've got to get the tight end more involved.
He had just 1 target in the first half, incomplete. Now incomplete here with the first target of the second half.
Yeah, should not stop them at all from going back to him. Find him. Find him.
So out comes a field goal team now for the second time here today. He hit his first, this one from 38. And Bailey able to knock it through. And they'll get it back within a point at 7-6. And the attempt at 3 will have to come from the other end of the field as time has run out on this 3rd quarter. We'll return with more after this. This is the NFL, and it's on EA Sports. Back now in Seattle, Washington. This one's still anybody's ball game. It's a 1-point difference here as we begin the 4th quarter of play. This is taken at the 3. And he'll take this across the 25. A couple extra yards up to the 27-yard line. Here's Russell Wilson and the Seahawk offense now getting set to go again. And he comes out on the heels of an interception he threw last time they had the ball.
Yeah, and you know, the quarterbacks that I know that are the best ones, the ones that really know how to lead their team, they tell them, that's on me. That's my bad. But let's go back out there and move ahead again, guys. We can get this done.
One good thing for him, it did only lead to 3 points and not a touchdown after that turnover.
Big thanks to the defense.
And they get it up just short of the 45 at the 44. 17 yards on the pickup there. The drive will continue. It's a first down.
Well, how about this aggressive approach? Got the lead, 4th quarter, continuing to throw the football. Are you thinking about Super Bowl 51? Atlanta had the lead against New England, and they ended up giving it up?
I was going to say, don't say it, but you did say it.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, anybody watching Atlanta, our apologies. We saw a number of good games earlier today. This one might top all of those. It's been a dandy as we come up on 1st and 10. They'll try and run some clock here with Penny. And he'll take this one up close to about the 45. Coney Ely in on the tackle.
I like a guy who understands the situation. I also like a guy who you look at him and you say, that looks like a guy who knows the coach is going to say, guess what? You drop this one, you'll be carrying around the training facility for an entire week.
Maybe flashback to high school or college, carrying it around campus, right?
The old gauntlet drill, right? Anyone get the ball out while he's sitting in class and bring it back to the coach? He's in big trouble.
And he'll be taken down just shy of midfield after a gain of about 4.
I like that run right there, partner. Not the flashiest run, not the one that's going to break for big yardage, but he understands the situation, and taking care of the football, paramount, and he got it done.
Nursing that slim lead, you're exactly right. Hold on to that ball. From the gun on 3rd down, Wilson. They'll lock it with a grab over the middle. And taking it across midfield and just shy of the 40. Give him 10 yards there as this offense is on a roll. This drive continues to plunge forward.
Couldn't just sit on it here, could they? Had to throw the ball on 3rd down. Got the big completion in the pickup. Fresh set of downs now. They've got to feel great.
And defensively, a backbreaker. Wilson now. 5 straight completions here in this second half. 1st and 10. Penny, a first down carry. Able to push forward for about 4 down to the 37. And in this situation with the lead 4th quarter, they're liking keeping the ball on the ground, I'm sure.
That's just smart football, but you know the defense has to know it as well. They've got to stop them here. So now we're going to see that loading the box in a big way. 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it's going to take, puts a little bit more pressure on your big offensive line.
So it's Seahawk football as we march toward a conclusion. And let's see what they've come up with offensively after having time to talk it over. Again, it's Penny. And this time not quite to the 30. It'll be down at the 31-yard line. And now right out of the 2-minute break, we'll get a timeout used defensively with 1:56 to go. A handoff to Penny. Down to about the 22 here. Whistles now in a timeout. So defensively, they burn it here with 1:51 left. On second down, here's Penny. And that one blown up quickly as he's going to be stopped before he could even get started. The Seahawks on 3rd down. They've hit it 50%, 3 of 6 to this point. This will be 3rd and 5. Here's Penny on the counter, down to the 25. Only a yard on the pickup there, and it's going to leave them with a 4th down.
How about the fellas with the stars on the side of their helmets rising up on defense? We always hear about the Cowboys' rushing offense. Their rush defense is pretty good as well, I think, because they're so cohesive. Defensive line, linebackers really work well together.
So on 4th down, out trots the kicker in a big spot here. From the left hash, it's a 42-yard attempt. And Janikowski bangs it through. And they bump the lead up to 4 now at 10-6. So they get the 3, but you wonder now, is that going to be enough?
Excellent question, because when I look at the smiles on that side of the field, they're a little tight, aren't they? If they had scored a touchdown there, those would be big half-moon grins right now because they'd feel a whole lot better about their position.
And a touchdown in the other direction, all of a sudden they're down. That's fielded in the end zone. And he won't return this one. He'll go down to a knee, and they'll start at the 25. And now Dallas gets set to take the field. They're down here in a 1-score game. But the time, it's a factor, but it's not a huge factor right now, is it?
It's really not, because this amount of time gives them a chance to run their offense, to go through play sequences. And this is what they work on every week in practice, usually on a Friday. They go over this type of a situation, late game situation. What are we going to do when we have the opportunity? They've called these plays a bunch of times. Now's their chance to execute them.
Yeah, they have the opportunity now. Here's the execution. Now the first play of the drive there is incomplete. They'll look to throw. And, a crusher there as it's now a loose football. The ball comes out, and his guys are going to take over at the 31-yard line. Often on fumbles, you look at the guy who coughed it up and say, geez, what did he do? But, hey, let's tip the cap to the defense here.
Not a problem at all, my man. I'm not even going to tip it. I'm going to doff my cap to him. Congratulations. Big-time play. Knocking it free and creating something good for your team. Partner, they're less than 2 minutes to go in the game, which means that this challenge was initiated by the fellows in New York.
And if you're the coach, you're thinking, thank you, New York. And you know they enjoyed taking that knee because they're now going to be 1-2 instead of 0-3. And psychologically, that's a big difference early in the season.
It certainly is. It's a big barrier breaker because you get to 0-3, you're not thinking playoffs. At 1-2, you still believe that you're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, you feel you got some hope on your side. 0-3, things start to look pretty bleak. Well, Charles, the old saying, the old cliche, if you will, points at a premium, that certainly applied here, didn't it?
And that almost felt like open up a time capsule, didn't it? Old school football, low scoring, close game. What a way to finish it up.
You loved it, didn't you?
I
You loved
did.
the defenses.
I certainly did. Brought back the images of the game of old.
So for the Seahawks, they're into the win column now as they move to 1-2 on the young season. And they'll hit the road next week to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Meanwhile, for the Cowboys, the early struggles continue as they'll sink to 0-3. And they'll get a home date next week against the Detroit Lions. That'll do it for us. I'm Brandon Gaudin alongside Charles Davis. Thanks to our entire crew as well. We'll talk to you next time. So long, everybody.
What's up, gang?
Let me go secure for the game right quick.
Hey, what's up, gang?
I got it.
I think it's my fault.
For real.
What's up,
Keep the
gang?
rest.
Hey, I got that check and to go.
I'm gone.
A lot of these was lost. They broke. They think it's my fault. No car. I want that caught. I'm dripping. I'm stuck with the sauce.
Good drip. Good drip.
But she love you. Don't cut your.
Yeah,
Reynolds Da Vinci is white. Limited Louis that's light. Rape in the city.